What is up, everybody? Filthy Dan coming at you for another film discussion, and we are back from a long overdue vacation. We are taking a look now, jumping into the John Carpenter Review Series. You guys know I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. I was supposed to come at you guys with this, about 2 weeks ago. I didn't really think about the date or anything when I launched this, but I'm coming at it now just a little later than I expected. But what can you do? So we're jumping again into the John Carpenter's filmography, and I'm going to be doing everything from Dark Star all the way through to The Ward. That includes the TV movies that he did at that point, and we're only looking at his directorial output. So we're not looking at any of the stuff he wrote like Halloween 2, Halloween 3, aka Ghost Directed. So we're not looking at those, just the stuff that he directed. So again, Dark Star. Fucking Halloween is going to get re-reviewed. We're going to look at Someone's Watching Me, the stuff he did for Masters of Horror. Everything he's done as a director. And of course, this is excluding the college films that he did, partially because I don't know where to find those fuckers. I'd probably try to review the Bronco Billy if I could find that. Hey, maybe one day a copy of that will just fall into my lap and you'll get a Bronco Billy review. We'll see. But we're jumping into the main meat of his illustrious career as a film director. Again, the TV works are going to be included, but we're starting today with Dark Star, sort of a college film that started out with him and Dan O'Bannon, who would later go on to do Alien and Return of the Living Dead. So you got Dan O'Bannon and John Carpenter, both at the, I think it was the UCLA Film School there. They worked on this movie, I think, for a few years before they finished it, and it's really remarkable when you watch it, because in a lot of ways, this movie doesn't really feel like it was made over the period of 2, 3, 4 years, however long it took them to make it. It really does feel like something that was kind of knocked out in sort of one filmmaking session, if that makes any sense. Not necessarily a single day of shooting, but like in one sort of consolidated period. However, that is not the case. So Dark Star came out in 1974, and obviously it was directed by John Carpenter, stars Dan O'Bannon and a few other actors who we don't really recognize. Nick Castle has a nice role in there. John Carpenter, of course, lends his voice here and there. But this is about a bunch of astronauts who are essentially stabilizing the outer reaches of space for future settlement. They're basically destroying volatile planets, volatile star systems that are potentially going to create a sort of risk if they try to colonize out there. So they're trying to collapse all that shit to sort of preserve mankind's conquest of space. Interesting interesting type of film, rather. It's, there's something about it where you think that this is really just the debut of two filmmakers. This really is sort of an extraordinary sort of story that they're going at. Like, it seems very, I'm trying to think what's the right word for that. Not innovative, but they're trying to take like a really big fucking step, like one small step for man, one giant step for mankind kind of deal. It's pretty bombastic for what it is. And when you consider that this is really a sort of a college film, really just given that extra time to make itself into a feature, given extra money over quite a few years of being made to really become a feature, a small feature. It's an interesting film. You think when you get into it that, okay, it might be, you're kind of going into it expecting sort of 2001, that Space Odyssey. But when I watched this, I got a feeling of 2001 Space Odyssey meets Doctor Strangelove. So both guys had a very Kubrick sensibility here, which I thought was really cool. And you do get a lot of those quiet, non-dialogue driven scenes where you got guys walking around, you got Dan O'Bannon walking around, You got one of the other guys walking around. I can't remember his name or his character's name off the top of my head, but you got them going around doing astronaut shit on the ship. And these guys have been on there for, I forget how long exactly they've been out there. I think 20 years or something they've been out there, but they've only aged 3 years. So they've been out there in space for quite a while. They've exchanged every story they possibly could with each other. Like, these guys are fed up with one another to a certain degree. Like, they know everything about each other. They know how to piss each other off. So, they're just doing what they do to try to avoid one another. So you get a great deal of that, just kind of character relations. And you have this crazy shit going on where there's supposed to be bombing shit, of course. And one of the bombs sort of gets an understanding of existence. Like, they've got these really advanced fucking bombs that can think like people almost. It's like some Terminator shit way before Terminator. I wonder if James Cameron got any ideas from this. But you've got this one bomb. I think it was bomb 19 or 21. It was 19 or 21. I can't remember which, but it's thinking, hey, if I exist, but my whole purpose is to explode, what's the point? So it's thinking about just blowing up the ship and everybody on it. So that's an interesting little scene that we get where one of the guys goes out. He does the spacewalk where he puts on the spacesuit. He goes out there to try to reason with the bomb. And that whole scene was really an interesting one. You've got this whole sequence where I believe it was definitely Dan O'Bannon's character. There was this alien that he had picked up prior to the film starting, and it's an alien that it's sort of his responsibility to take care of it. So he's like, oh fuck, I gotta go feed it now. It's this big ass beach ball alien. And I wasn't sure what to expect with the beach ball alien. I had heard of it, and I don't know, when I saw it, I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad. I mean, you can tell it's clearly a beach ball. I was expecting it to have like stupid tentacles coming out of it and shit. But it's just Nick Castle in a giant beach ball, fucking just giving Dan O'Bannon a hard time. This thing goes crazy and basically tries to sabotage an elevator shaft with Dan O'Bannon. Get a nice little farcical bit there that does have some pretty good tension, actually, when he's trying to climb out of the bottom of the elevator shaft. And the elevator's starting to go down, and then going back up. And he's trying to fucking press the buttons to get the elevator to stop and shit. It's pretty ridiculous. This movie, I wasn't really expecting the humor in it. Like, I was really expecting just a really straightforward type of a sci-fi film. But it really is a satirical sci-fi film. And you really get that when you take the idea of 2001 and you cross that with Dr. Strangelove. You've got the spectacle of 2001 with the sort of satire of the Dr. Strangelove. So you get that here, and you really get that in the ending too. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, spoilers, so if you don't want to hear it, fucking skip forward like 20-30 seconds, I don't know. But you've got the ending where the ship blows up, and one of the guys is going one way because he wanted to see this fucking, kind of like the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. Like, he knew those were coming around, so he's like, I'm going in there. So he just kind of becomes one with that. And the other guy, he had been a surfer on Earth, so that was kind of his thing. Piece of the ship's shrapnel fucking comes along, and it reminds him of a surfboard, so he gets on that. And he's going into this fucking star that's about to explode, and it's so fucking reminiscent of the ending of Doctor Strangelove when I forget the guy's name in that, but when he's writing the bomb down, it really reminded me of that. He's like just having the ride of his life, like right to the end there. There's something really cool about that. And one thing I did totally forget to mention too is that the set design and essentially all the graphics and special effects in this film, aside from the Nick Castle beach ball monster, really do look pretty solid for being a very low budget 70s sci-fi kind of film. A lot of the effects, I think, in some ways do kind of match up to those you would later see from Star Wars, which would follow a year later. So I don't know if these guys were kind of talking with George Lucas at the time, but I could definitely see a lot of what they did is, like I said, pretty up to par with what they would do on Star Wars a year later. I don't know, that's just something that I noticed watching the film and really remembered as I was starting to cut this together, so I thought I would bring it up real quick. This is going to be somewhere in the middle of the video now, but it's something I totally almost forgot to mention, and that's one thing that I think really does help elevate this film above a lot of the contemporary films of the time, a lot of the earlier sci-fi films that you got in the 50s and whatnot. So the sort of space setting and a lot of the laser graphics, etc., a lot of that stuff is actually pretty solid, again, considering the budget that they had for this film. And I'm almost wondering if that's where half the budget went, was to the set design, because it does really feel like a real spaceship at points. So the set design and graphics really are things that do look nice in this film. I'd have to say Dark Star was a pretty satisfying film, honestly. It was not full on what I was expecting. Again, it was one of the Carpenter films that I had not seen going into this series. So again, not knowing what to expect, I think that it was a pretty satisfying film at the end of the day. It's certainly one I would recommend if you are sort of a Carpenter completionist. If you like film in general, I would definitely recommend it. But if you're looking for something that is a full, cohesive narrative, I wouldn't really recommend it. It's definitely not for everybody. You got to be a certain sort of, I don't want to say connoisseur, but you got to be a certain type of film fan to really appreciate this film, I think. But it's certainly one I would definitely give a recommendation for. Gonna start incorporating a rating system. I will definitely give Dark Star a nice 3 out of 5. I don't have anything cute to fucking call my 3s and 5s and shit like that, so you get a nice 3 out of 5 going on here with Dark Star. It's definitely one I would recommend checking out. It's basically the start of John Carpenter's career. It's the start of Dan O'Bannon's career. And one thing you'll notice too in watching Dark Star is that Dan O'Bannon basically took a lot of the things that he did as far as the rogue alien, the fucking cabin fever on the ship, like he took those ideas and he would later put them into Alien, but instead of making you laugh, he's making you scream with that. So you get really 3 films that you can combine to make Dark Star. So essentially Doctor Strangelove, 2001, and Alien. You put those 3 puppies together and you get Dark Star, so it's a really cool little combination there. Again, it's the start of Carpenter's career, start of O'Bannon's career, and both of them would go on to have pretty amazing careers going forward. Half of the cast in this are pretty nameless individuals. I hate to admit that. I wish I had their names on hand. But yeah, that is Dark Star. I wish I'd had more to say about this film, but it's really a unique film that I think somebody should watch on their own. I feel that I could have gone full into the review for it, but I didn't want to overdo it for you guys, because this is one that, again, you really got to experience it. But the standout scenes definitely are the whole elevator shaft sequence and the whole reasoning with the bomb. You do get a lot of interesting stuff going on in here, and I don't know, seeing that I do consider this film a comedy made it a lot harder to review. But again, Dark Star gets 3 out of 5 Dark Stars, I guess we'll say. Certainly a fun time to sit through. Definitely check it out again if you're a Carpenter fan. Stay tuned next week for Assault on Precinct 13, or whenever it's going to be the next one. I know Halloween review is going to be out on Halloween Day, so Assault on Precinct 13 shouldn't be too far ahead. And I do have other things that I do want to try and get out that I am supposed to. I know that a lot of people are wondering, where the hell is your Jason Goes to Hell review? I don't know. It's out there. It's coming. Just fucking give me a minute, please. I know I still need to get the American Mary review done. I've got a lot that I'm still trying to get straightened out as far as this goes, but anyway, we're gonna get that all resolved at some point down the road. I hope you guys enjoyed the Dark Star review. Stay filthy.